speaker I hope I got this correct here. Our second speaker this morning is our returning Toastmaster Chris Gould. She will be speaking from level 1 of motivational strategies and its research and presenting. You know, Chris and Jim recently took a cruise from Fort Lauderdale through the Panama Canal, ending in Los Angeles, California. They're happy to have them back. The title of her speech this morning is Panama Canal. Welcome, Chris Gould.
Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and those welcome guests that are just beating down the door. I had a great 3 weeks on board the Viking Neptune cruise ship, but the most fascinating part was very specifically the Panama Canal itself. So that's what I want to tell you about. And I highly recommend, if you want to learn more, this book, Between the Seas, is just amazing. Be prepared for a lengthy read. It is over 700 pages and it goes into so much detail, but it's just really cool to learn about. For example, did you know that the French actually started the canal back in the 1880s? But they couldn't finish it. It turned over to the Americans to build starting in 1904. They finished it in 1914. I want to start by challenging you with a little bit of thought, food for thought. So we did the Panama Canal cruise starting from the Atlantic side and going to the Pacific. So I want you to think about this. Were we traveling east to west to east, or north to south? Second item, food for thought, is if I told you that we kayaked on the Panama Canal and showed you this picture, would you believe me? Is this the Panama Canal? Doesn't look much like a canal, does it? Well, the first one is, yes, the Atlantic is on the east and the Pacific is on the west. However, if you take a close look at Central America and where Panama is, it takes a major curve. So when you go through the Panama Canal, you are traveling north to south. And as for those kayaks, yes, we were kayaking in the Panama Canal. Let me explain. The Panama Canal is a series of locks, then a lake, then a cut through the mountains, and then another series of locks. The whole thing is the Panama Canal. And we did go kayaking on Gatun Lake, which is the middle part of the canal. Now, the ships were going through here, and we were probably kayaking over in this bay over here. But still, I say we kayaked the Panama Canal. All right? Good. So next, we are on the ship, and this ship, instead of the 3,000 to 5,000 that a lot of cruise ships have, this ship only held 930. And because of the hurricane issues at the beginning, they were not full. There were only 768. So when the morning breaks and we are on our way to the first set of locks, Jim and I were able to get a spot front and center, right on the railing, on the exploration deck, where you get to see right in front of you. So we got the best pictures, the best view. And here is what the first set of locks looks like. So you were raising from the level of the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, to Gatun Lake, which is about 90 feet, and it takes 3 steps to get there. And here's a whole little video I put together. So there we are, right front and center. The first thing you see is Puente Atlantico, looking like the Golden Gate Bridge. Here you come up to the first set of locks, and I was able to use the time-lapse photography on my phone because this takes, a good hour to get through these 3 locks. So if you want to see it, and notice that there's 2 lanes here. So we passed another ship going the other way. And in a second, you'll see, yeah, the boat starts to rise here and equalizes with the water in the next lock. They open the gates, you go into the next, they call it a chamber. And then it was celebration time. The staff of the ship handed out mimosas, and we celebrated being in the Panama Canal. And look at this beautiful day we had. It was just amazing. And so what you see beyond this last, oh, and the last one, notice there were actually 2 gates. Why is that? There's a backup in case of catastrophic failure. They don't want the whole lake to spill out into the Atlantic Ocean. So there's that separation. And this is Gatun Lake, which takes a while to get across. And here is a side view of what it is. So you have the Atlantic Ocean, you have 3 chambers of the first lock, then you have the Gatun Lake, and then you have Pedro Miguel, that's just 1 chamber, and then 2 chambers going back down, and you're at the Pacific Ocean. For the end of it, we went up and visited our friends who are known for splurging on getting the best room in any accommodation. So on this ship, they had a suite at the very front, at the bow end, and this is the view from their room. That is Panama City and the Pacific Ocean. Ocean in view. Oh, the joy. If you know the story of Lewis and Clark, that is what they said after 2 years of crossing the country and seeing the Pacific Ocean. We did it in about 8 hours. Oh, the joy. Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that.